because they're.
Could we ask the applicant to bring the private attorney opinion forward?
I think that's where we really need to be. I hate to.
Mr. Greer, do you have an attorney in reference to your property, or have you talked to anybody, a builder?
I talked to a builder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you bought the property, did you have an attorney?
You probably did. You have title insurance if you got a mortgage, which they search the title.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily going to address their rights on that road.
I just really think at this point, given the opinion expressed to us from the MMA, that no matter how we feel about it or what the convenience of the issue is, I just think that it needs to be demonstrated to us legally how this landowner has a legal right to build a driveway on that end of the property. If they can do so, great. But I don't know that I'm comfortable voting to approve this easement until that happens.
You said you had another opinion, didn't you? The town?
From our town's attorney, right? They agreed with MMA's opinion, and I think that opinion concluded by saying, what's the burden on the property owner to prove that they can use that strip of land? He added that, yes, you could ask them to go that legal extent and cost to prove that way, or you could just go ahead and give her an easement. And that's what this meeting here is about.
Have you guys talked, the two families?
No.
Have you guys talked?
No, I think I talked to him one time. I just went over it, but no, we didn't really talk.
That would be huge, I think. Personally, I think it would be. I mean, at least for me, it would. I don't know about the other counselors, but and figure out how this would work. And I understand your concern with the top half of the driveway and those things, and I understand yours. You know, I'd like to have access to my land if I had it, but.
But again, if we got two attorneys' opinions that
Right.
hesitate.
I mean, well, they hesitate, and then they say, well, you can do it. I mean, because at the bottom line, they said, well, you can still issue a permit, or, you know, an easement.
Yeah.
Which...
The town has an inherent right to grant easements to any party for any reason.
Right. I mean, we can, you know. The problem is we have two separate parties here, and they haven't even talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, very briefly. I mean, I think if they, you know, they talk about it, and, you know, maybe we can...
How many people in the subdivision are aware? You know, butters and...
Nobody else has been notified of this. The two who are here tonight.
All right. Either property owner have anything else they'd like to add?
Well, it seems that everything's moving pretty fast. We only heard about this a couple of days ago, and the meeting is today, and it sounds like you may even try to make a decision today.
I don't believe, again, my opinion, I don't think anything's been decided at this point. We do have a full council meeting, but I guess my advice was have you guys talk and try to come up with a, you know, sort of push the brakes a little bit. I mean, I understand that, you know, you want to build and you want to move in here, but, you know, have you guys talk and then us have another meeting.
And maybe notify abutters
and maybe notify some
affected.
abutters, you know, to the you know, that lower half, because that's what it would affect. Because essentially it is more traffic on Forest Hills too. But that would be my advice, or my...
I certainly think that's all constructive, but, and I understand the town's ability to grant easements as well. I just think that given the, I mean, again, we have the advice of an attorney from the MMA stating that it really should be demonstrated to us before granting that, or that this property owner has the right to do so. And it does feel like this is moving along rather quickly, so. Our job is to make a recommendation to the full council later this evening. Paul, I don't know if you have a,
It's not on the agenda.
it is not, so it would be at our next meeting. So that also gives us some time to work with as well in terms of maybe the property owners can come up with a solution on their own, or the property owner in question can bring a legal opinion to this council.
I mean, either way, I think an easement has to be, would have to be granted, even if they come up with an arrangement or an agreement on their own, but I think that moving forward would be huge. It would help us, in making our decisions.
The only other thing I might say is it would be great if they could use the existing turnaround on Forest Hill and go across the power line and access the property like this.
It's defined though, David, coming through there where that road can be.
Let me go back to the picture. Okay. On this side of the driveway.
We don't have right to that, that's a C.
I don't think we have a right to that, because the roadway would be, it'd be a little wider than the existing driveway, but I don't think you'd be able to get an entrance.
Central main power on that.
Yeah.
Well, Central Maine Power gave,
The developer.
gave the development rights, and maybe they would do the same to you.
Could,
Might
yep.
be worth asking.
It-
And it
it
would
is
be
available.
probably a
Yeah,
cheaper.
no, that's
available.
Alternative for you.
Yep.
I don't know.
I don't see it being cheaper when I can just pass it just like that. Nothing has to be built or anything, just that little part right there.
Well, the other complicating factor would be the water and sewer come up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the water and sewer is right there.
I think we can table it.
We'll table this for now. I'd like to give the property owner a chance to bring a legal opinion before we make a recommendation to the council. Paul, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm
Yep,
good with that.
okay.
I can say that Lionel was hesitant to allow access to that driveway. So,
I didn't hear.
He said his dad was hesitant to allow access to the driveway.
he doesn't have any problem with access, however it gets there. But he's not crazy about going up his driveway. So,
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. Or, I mean, yeah, I have a motion.
I'll second. All right. All those in favor? Thank you.
Just moving on.
Move on. Yep.
We've got to give them 1 minute to try and
Oh.
coordinate the.
Where's the chance? David, you ready? Call to order the Regulatory Review Committee meeting for Thursday, April 25th. Roll call, David Key.
Here.
Dan Ormsby. Absent. And Mark Eastman here. First order of business, Jeff, Chapter 10, Article 4.
So I'll come back with a slightly revised version, actually severely revised version of the changes that we're talking about now. Changes, we've gone back to the changes that the town manager has submitted to you some time ago with the additional changes made to correct the outdated street names. And I'll just go through those quickly. Charlie Cole Road has been changed to Cross Road. Silver Lake Road here is deleted and River Road replaced, not because that's a different name for the same road, but because Hinks Road was the portion of Millville Road above Silver Lake Road. So the prohibition now goes from the entire length of Millville Road. Excuse me, no, from Cross Road to River Road.
Mhm.
The portion from Central Street to Cross Road is still not a posted road. And then Dead River Road's changed to Ball Mountain Road, which is the current name. East Bucksport Road is changed to Church Road. I think East Bucksport Road is the Pequot section.
East Passport Road always was from Woods Common Corner going out through.
All the way out to Orrington. Yeah. Not the Church Road.
Church Road,
that short section from 46 to Bucks
46
Mills.
to Bucks Mills.
But Church Road is replaced here because that's where the posting begins.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it for changes.
So the Church Road out
No, Church Road in.
is posted?
Between where Bucks Mill starts at Millvale Road to Church Road has always been posted. And that just clarifies that.
Yeah, we took out that other section with Colin J and all that.
It's like,
Colin J. Lamford.
this is what you see, the section 10-401, the changes I proposed there have been removed.
Okay.
And so now we're going back to just amending section 10-402.
Okay.
Question. Those quarries, they don't haul out of the, or I say quarries, the pits up there, do they not haul out of those?
On Church Road?
Yeah, but
On Bucks Mills?
Bucks Mills?
Yeah, but that's a,
Wordles, yes,
that's a place of business, so that's okay.
Okay.
It's inside.
Okay, good. All right. Oh, perfect.
Council rules?
It's,
At the last committee meeting, there was a discussion about the items that are identified, plus one additional one, which related to adding a provision that any change in the scheduling of an item for council action requires a unanimous vote of the council. That's what Councilor Ormsby had suggested for language, and that relates to the decision on when a vote or a discussion of a item would be held. It came about when a couple of months ago an item wasn't to be voted on at the next meeting. It was moved out 2 meetings because several councilors weren't going to be present, and so it was moved out until they thought there would be a full council present, and the request is to have that kind of a decision require not just a vote of the council, but a unanimous vote of the council, and that I put under priority of business in that section. Otherwise, it is adding notification to the media of special meetings, requiring that all meetings have a majority of councilors, and eliminating the options of meetings with less than 4 members in attendance because they can't take any action. Eliminating the temporary chair provision, which moved things around, and creating a deputy chair position that's elected annually at the same time the chair position is, and the provision for election of that is the same as that of the chair, the one in regard to the vote, and then changes the rules to state that missing more than 5 regular meetings can be grounds for loss of office, which was the other request. And if that one goes into council rules, there will be a need for a charter change, because the charter currently defines it differently than that in terms of 3 consecutive meetings. So those were the ones that were identified during our deliberations, and they've been filled in the charter copy that you have in front of you.
We ready for synthetic pesticides?
And does anyone have any heartburn with any of these, or is this what you were looking for what was identified that you wanted changed.
Sounds great.
Okay. And the one following that is just the charter change that would require, that in order to be consistent with, for council rules to be consistent with, would have to be put on a ballot for November in order to.
So we can't make the
charter.
rule change until we make the charter change, is that how it works?
Not really, because one is supposed to be consistent.
The only question I guess I have on section 39, when we talked about forfeiture of office, and language was added about being excused by a majority vote of the council. Do I understand that if somebody's not here, we take a vote? Is that,
It would require a formal vote.
whether it's excused or unexcused absence? Is that?
The intent is that if a counselor gets to the 5-meeting limit, that the council has to take a majority vote in order for them to be able to continue. That would be to excuse an absence or to allow them to continue. That is because right now it creates a forfeiture of office unless you, in the provision discussed at the last meeting related to illness or if someone was in a serious car accident or something happened where they missed a couple months of meetings, they could be, through no fault of their own, out. But just as a general course of business, that it's necessary for counselors to be here as much as possible.
But I think to Peter's point, are we establishing that we vote on it each time they're absent, whether it's excused or unexcused?
No, this is after missing the 5.
It's
After
the 5
missing
and
the
then.
5.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you.
I'm sorry. You said that would have to be voted on in November? Is that? No, we're
A
gonna.
charter change, yes.
Yes, you understood. There is going to be an election, a vote in June for the school. Could it be done at that time? I mean, does it have to be during a general election, or is this is a special election for voting for the?
Council elections and charter changes have generally been done in November because the largest number of voters
General
participate
election.
at that time.
Anyone else? So synthetic pesticides?
Dear Town Councilors, my name is Stacy Leafsong of the group Bucksport Protectors. We greatly appreciate being on the town's council's agenda. As a group, our efforts are to ensure a safer community in Bucksport. We're currently in the process of bringing together stakeholders towards the goal of effective and organic lawn and land care in Bucksport. We're concerned residents, mothers, joining together with experts in the science of pesticide, toxicology, health, medical science, and organic land care practices in soil science. We, as a group, are also looking at the progress of our main communities, specifically South Portland, Portland, and Ogunquit as models, are making in promoting safer alternatives to toxic pesticide use. We aim to have Bucksport join these premier communities. As a next step, our group would like to meet individually with each member of the Town Council to discuss the issue in more detail. We're currently working on putting together a packet of information to present at each such a meeting, including a discussion about the hazards of pesticides, the benefits of alternatives, and the reasons why Bucksport should use its local authority on these concerns. We so look forward to continuing these efforts in coordination with the Town Council. Thank you. So that's kind of,
I have a question. In reading Portland's ordinance, which I did recently, I noted that it exempts agriculture.
yes. So there is, and I'm in the process of talking to a couple experts on this, there are some exemptions to that. Well, Portland chose to do that, but Bucksport can choose whatever, because, well, for one, Portland doesn't really have an agricultural district. It's an urban area, and the only city that they have is actually an organic, the only farm, rather, that they have within city limits, it happens to be an organic farm. So it's kind of a non-issue for them. Where we're in an agricultural area, there is a certain clause, so I'm proposing that we would look at both, but there would be definitely an agricultural exemption, but there are some farms that fall under a different category, and I don't have that terminology in front of me, but I can definitely bring it to the meetings where it's, where they would fall under the ordinance and other farms would not.
When you say meet individually with counselors, are you talking about outside of council?
That's what I propose, is just to, yeah, have a
I would
meeting.
suggest that we do it in a forum setting like this,
Okay,
with everybody's together.
okay.
I had a concern with that too, just because A, it would probably be a logistical nightmare for you.
Okay.
But second of all, I think probably, just
Get
seems to
public
be
input.
committee would be, and plus, yeah.
So meet individually with people in this.
No, meet as this body here.
Okay.
Come to a committee meeting.
My concern, Mayor, is that I would like, there's a lot of education about this. There's
So we have,
physicians,
we
soil
have
scientists.
email?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So that having an ability to kind of get to speed with each counselor and then, I mean, and then meet as a group is what I'm proposing.
Yeah, I would be against that. That's not how we can operate. We gotta have public input when we're having discussions.
Yeah.
We can have discussions amongst ourselves, but meeting individually, it's tough then all of a sudden to come back and meet again. It's not feasible.
What I would suggest is, you said you were putting together packets of information.
Yes.
Is that if you email those or distribute those to the counselors, and then we have a specific meeting for this one topic, as opposed to multiple topics under regulatory review, like a workshop?
Sure.
Where this topic can be fully explored, questions answered, but they would have information ahead of time, as would the public, who would have access to anything that you submitted to us, so that there could be a good dialogue and how to move forward.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. So breaking this down into the multiple issues that it does entail, so that we can have one meeting about each issue? Okay, that sounds
Well, no.
excellent.
I mean, how long are you talking about having meetings on this? I'm trying to figure out what your time.
Well, this is kind of an involved issue. It's not a really simple, like, there's many aspects to it, from lawn
How
care.
about you get everything together and you send it to us in a package of everything you're going to discuss, and then we can determine how many meetings we need to have after looking at it. None of us are scientists. Are you a scientist?
I'm not a scientist. I'm an organic farmer. Yeah,
So it's
we have multiple people. It's not just scientists that are going to be putting input here. But yes, there's many people that it impacts and have knowledge about these issues.
Well, I'm going to, right now, there's a group in Bucksport who's gotten together to look at the issue of plastic bags and styrofoam. This group meets weekly. It's doing a huge amount of legwork and public education, and its intent, once it's worked through what it sees, is to come back to the town council with a recommendation based on the research they've done, as well as the public interaction that they've had, and if there's a lot of education to be done, this is not the only group who needs to be educated, because they would be acting on behalf of the 5,000 people in the community who are impacted by all of this. And so the model that I talk about, the plastic, I call it the plastic bag group. It needs a nicer name than that, but they've done a huge amount of work and raised the consciousness level in the community as a result of those efforts. And synthetic pesticides, I think, needs that same kind of attention. It is a complicated subject. The more I've read about it, the more I've discussed it with professors at UMaine, there's a lot of moving pieces to the proposal, and there are some state limitations on what local government can do in terms of regulating certain entities. So all of that needs to be considered as well. I'm not being discouraging. I'm trying to think of a path that will be, I think that you talked about a group of people who were discussing this. If there are, I would encourage you to seek other people from Bucksport to get involved in this topic, and when you have all your information together that you've filtered through on all of it, then come to the council with. The council won't be the one to be going through all they'll look for guidance, you know, in terms of whether that be scientific or whatever, in order to help their process. Does that sound?
Yeah, like I said, I don't have the capacity. I'm going to be honest. I can't look at all the stuff that you're probably going to research and try to digest that myself. I'm looking for you to kind of capitalize, what's what I'm looking for.
You said it right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But putting it in a smaller ball, so you know, it captures all those high points, but yet we can understand what we're talking about, because this sounds like it's a process that, and I don't mean to say that, but you could talk for hours about it.
Yes.
And I think like the town manager said, I think there is a forum that you folks can get together to talk about those things, and then
bring it to when it's a more formed
concise
idea.
Absolutely. I do feel that there's a component of educating you and get that is important. So I guess it's just the point from point A to point B. And I do the community.
The plastic bag ordinance people brought us a 2.5-minute video at the last council meeting. Consciousness raising, education.
And part of our charge also is when we hear these things, for us to do some research on our own.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to be, at least I'm not going to be blind when the next time you come here. At least I'm going to know what Portland's ordinance looks like, what some of these things you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
So don't think that you're just, you know, we're throwing you away, and when you come back, we'll start from zero again.
Okay.
My hope is that we'll have a little better idea of what we're talking about.
But the education process has, as I said, through this other group, and they come and talk to the council once a month or so at a meeting about where they are in their process, what kind of progress they've made, who they've talked to, what other communities are doing. That kind of education that's a bit at a time is, I think, working very successfully for that group.
Okay, that sounds like a good model. So, yeah.
And I'm still a resource, and the council's still happy to take information. This isn't go away and don't come back. This is how to be this is about how to be most effective in what you're looking to do.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. So it sort of fits the model of doing this working group and coming and bringing it back before you. So, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I have one other thing to bring up on the regulatory review. I'd like to look at a change in the width of our parking lots. Right now we have 10 by 20, and if we could bring it back to the state standard of 9 by 18.
Yep.
Do you have anything on that, Jeff, or is there just change of the ordinance?
But that's an amendment to Appendix K, so we need to go to the planning board and do their thing with it, hold a public hearing and
Just going to go through the planning board and then come back to it.
any amendment to Appendix K has to be reviewed by the planning board.
Could this get on their next agenda?
For their May 7th meeting?
Yes.
I haven't put the agenda out yet, so yes, it could. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else? Anything with the public? Go ahead, Don.
On the synthetic pesticide, I'm just glad to see it being raised. I'm a lifelong farmer. I was planting broccoli before I got here tonight. I started with DDT, arsenic, etc. I'm 71 years old. I no longer do that. I'm just glad to see it's an issue this time has come. I mean, there's a lot of damage that's being done out there with synthetic pesticides, and there's ways to go about it. I've learned the hard way, but you can do it. So I appreciate the issue being brought by Mrs. Lee Song, and I hope it's not pushed off, because I think it's a legitimate one. You know, our illnesses are, you know, we learn after the fact.
Right.
DDT kills things. Arsenic kills things. Belpar gets into your water stream. We all learn these things after the fact. Industry sells it because it makes a lot of money. Big farmers, it's easy. It made my life a lot easier when I was young, you know. But there's a toll to pay, and we're paying for it now. And there's organizations that can help out. The University of Maine knows how to do this. MOFCA knows how to do this. There's organizations out there, and I really appreciate the council. It's surprising, and I appreciate the council taking this seriously and giving it some voice. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
I assume there might be a member for your group?
I was just, yeah.
Anything else? Motion to
Is this a
adjourn?
good place, you know, we're discussing section 39?
Yeah.
Missing meetings, yeah. You know, I understand that rule. I probably miss more meetings than anybody else, but by the same token, I'm always interested in the will of the people, and I always get more votes than anybody else that's running against me. So I would just point that out, that I am a believer in the will of the people. So some people think that this is more, that we should be at as many meetings as possible, but there are those of us who have lives outside of that. So I would just make that comment, that that's something to think about.
Okay. Motion to adjourn? Okay. All in favor?